This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the Starcom radio network. If you'd like to give us a call, toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can always listen to the X-Zone 724 365 at www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Dr. Kimberly McGEORGE. We've had the pleasure of having this young lady on before. She is a quantum energy healer, frequency master, naturopathic doctor, and remote viewer. Now, she's internationally known as a frequency master, conscious creation expert, and naturopathic energy healer. Dr. McGEORGE invites you to go beyond frequency. Dr. Kimberly has been heard numerous times on the You Health Revelation with Darius, the Sheila Show, the Aware Show with Lisa Gar, and many other radio shows and international telesummits. Dr. Kimberly combines science with possibility and has been experimenting with frequencies and products and with her clients for the last decade and a half. After consulting with an esteemed neurosurgeon, Dr. Kimberly became convinced that frequencies she had been using could be applied to all areas of her clients' lives. Joining me now is Dr. Kimberly McGEORGE. And Dr. Kimberly, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So how are you doing tonight, Dr. Kim?
I'm absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Kim. I thought of you last weekend when I was at the Alien Cosmic Expo because there were energy healers and frequency healers there. And it seems that more and more people are becoming aware of just how relevant frequencies are in our lives. Tell us a little bit more about the science behind frequencies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's really true. I'm not really surprised, but that's kind of interesting. I guess because we've had the technology for a long, long time in the medical field. So we all know about ultrasounds. We all know about MRIs. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. We get it, but we don't get it. You know, we get cell phones, but we don't get it. We get cable TV and satellite TV. We just don't think about it. And so really all frequency-based healing is, or the science of it is based on stuff we already really use and already really know, just like how we're talking right now. How is that happening? You know, so frequencies is like great magic because absolutely everything in the universe, everything in our energy field, all our thoughts, all our emotions, every virus, every pathogen, every disease, you know, has a frequency. So, you know, I always wanted, sounds kind of dumb, but I always wanted to get to like, you know, my business is called The Secret to Everything. I always wanted to get to the secret to everything. And about, 10 or 15 years ago, I really was introduced to this in a big, big way. And I just became convinced that this is it, Rob. This is like the cutting edge stuff. This is the stuff that can neutralize emotions. This is the stuff that can create abundance. This is the stuff that can heal chronic diseases. It's getting the body back in balance by, being able to scan the energy field and pick out what's wrong and put the right either sound or frequencies in to make it right.
So how did you come across this very important discovery?
And that's another great question, of course. You're really good at great questions. It's due to severe health crises of my own, where the doctors didn't know what was wrong with me, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I kind of dabbled a lot in alternative medicine and got a great measure of healing from herbs and supplements.
Did we lose? Oh, there you are.
But it wasn't until I really started working with homeopathic medicine and energy medicine and really putting my hands in people's energy fields and playing that we got really crazy, incredible, almost miraculous results. So I always say, when you can get to the root of the issue, when you know why someone has depression, when you know why someone has ADD or diabetes or cancer or whatever that, imbalance might be, when you know the reason for it, then you can look at it and balance it and correct it. So it's really my own seeking a higher and higher degree of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical balance in my own life that led me to kind of start playing and experimenting and seeking the more, at the time, 10 or 15 years ago, Rob, you didn't see that at any convention, even at alternative health conventions. So it really is becoming super popular, partly, I think, due to like all the electronic devices and our understanding of, satellite and our acceptance. You go in restaurants now and you see 1.5-year-olds, with cell phones and tablets, Rob. So we're just kind of more open to it, I think.
But let me ask you this, Dr. Kim. With all the controversy about Wi-Fi and how the microwaves and how the frequencies that cell phones and tablets emanate, and how we're just being inundated with all these different frequencies that many claim are not good, how does this interfere with the good frequencies that you work with?
Right. And when I do body scans, that comes up. EMF comes up and radiation comes up, and all this stuff does come up in the energy field as being harmful, and the body wants to dump it or neutralize it.
Right.
So definitely there's different ranges of frequencies. Like I said, viruses and bacteria have a frequency as well, and we certainly don't want a lot of that in our body.
No.
So I absolutely believe it's kind of like everything and anything. There's both extremes. It can be used, quote, for good or evil.
Right.
And so definitely we are bombarded with these. And that's a great point. Actually, I think you're the only person out of hundreds of interviews that's ever asked me that, because that's a great point. There's damaging, literal frequencies that we're being bombarded with constantly in our environment. And some say there's even delivered frequencies that we're being bombarded with in our environment, as I'm sure you've had some guests share on your shows.
We sure have.
There's definitely frequencies, positive frequencies that we can, put into the field to mitigate those as well, or take them out of the field.
What's it feel like to be a pioneer? Because as far as I'm concerned, you are one of the pioneers of frequency work.
I've been accused of that.
Well, I'm not accusing you. That is a compliment, my dear.
You know what? It's funny, because I was talking to someone today about when you are a leader in your field, or you go against the crowd, and you know this because you're kind of a maverick yourself. When you go against, all of that, there's a persecution that comes with that. There's a criticism. I get very criticized. I also get very lauded, but it's almost like there's no middle.
Yep.
Rob, it's interesting and fascinating, exciting to push the envelope and to take it further and further and further. And we're actually looking at some technology and maybe joining some forces with some other people. And, we keep trying to push it further. So I love that part of it. But there's also this part of it where you come under the microscope and you're criticized and you're questioned. And so there's that kind of both sides.
Well,
both sides of it.
The way I look at it, Dr. Kim, is when somebody puts you under a microscope, that's because they're jealous. They're envious. You're doing something that they can only dream of doing. You see, I've always thought the only difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. Nothing comes easy. And people say, well, geez, I failed at that. Well, did you give up? Well, yeah, I failed. No. Failure is a lesson of success. It's that simple. And, I believe, Dr. Kim, that you are the same kind of person that I am, that you just don't give up. What do you mean I can't move that mountain? Watch. And this is what this world needs today, are people like you who are going against the flow. I don't want to call you a salmon, but you do go up against the the river. But this is what's making the positive difference in people's lives, the differences that you're making. You're saying, hey, wait a minute. Why can't we do this? Let's try it. And like you said, you're joining forces to make this a better world. What's wrong with that? Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
It is, yeah. But I believe, and I know you understand what I'm saying, I believe you also make yourself a target of those that don't necessarily want you, because really what I do is what you do in a different way, which is totally give the power for balance and happiness and health back to each individual person. And there's a lot of, let's say, energies out in the world that are working constantly 24/7 against that. So that puts me in a precarious position, Rob, if you know what I mean.
I certainly do, Dr. Kim. If you could, Dr. Kim, can you share some of the success stories that you have when it comes to treating people with the positive or the good frequencies, good energy?
Sure. I like to share recent stories. So people that have heard me speak before, like, she's told that like 100 times. So some of my recent stories in the past, I'd say 30 to 60 days, I had a woman who had gone through my 21-day program, which was basically a program that's over now, but it was, we were bombarded constantly with all sorts of frequencies. Everybody got their own personal frequency track for their own issues. We did all kinds of, self-worth and money and abundance, and just bombarded. So if you chose to partake in the program, you were bombarded with all kinds of things for 21 days. And so she came in the program and she had her things, more abundance and this and that, and kind of these generalized things. But she just wrote me a couple weeks ago, and she's like, I really wanted to share with you, and this really touches me. She said, I came into the program and I wasn't even focused on this, but I wasn't able to lift my arm at all. I wasn't able to comb my hair. I wasn't able to get dressed. It was completely, not functional. And she said at the end of the 21 days, she said, it spontaneously healed. She said, I have no pain. It's remained healed. I can do everything I was able to do before. And she's like, I think that's crazy. I didn't even come in with that intention. I didn't even tell you that's what I wanted to work on. But Rob, that's so cool about the human body and the human energy field, is our bodies and our energy fields so desperately want to be well and balanced that they'll contribute that energy even when we aren't even conscious of it.
Are you finding that, how do we call them? Do we call them traditional medicine or Western medical practitioners are opening up to the possibility that they don't know everything, and that maybe, just maybe, alternative medicine works where traditional medicine doesn't?
Great observation. And I mean, this was years ago, when I was practicing, in a clinical practice as a naturopathic doctor. If you want to call my number one job category of people that came to me, the top one was doctors, and the second one was nurses, and the third one was psychologists. Wow. And I would ask them, you're an oncologist at a big university teaching hospital. Why are you coming to little old me? And they're like, because we see that the poison's not working. We see that the radiations is working. We wouldn't put our wife or our mother or our children under some of these treatments, if you threatened or paid us to. We know this isn't working. We're in the front lines. And I thought, wow, does that not say it all? So definitely. And I have, formed partnerships. I've had a number of psychiatrists I've worked with, because I work a lot with the spectrum disorders, autism and ADD and obsessive compulsive disorder and all those kinds of things, depression, anxiety. And they call me and ask me what homeopathic remedies to use. Now, they're not quite as far out as I am. They're not like, send me a, silent frequency track. We're not there yet. But they're like, asking me and consulting me about, homeopathic medicine, which is frequency medicine as well. So I see a lot of openness and alliance, with Western medicine.
Why do you think it is so important at this time that, that people need to know about frequency energy healing?
Well, we live in such a toxic world. As a matter of fact, I put myself on my machine and scan myself quite regularly. And one of the things that comes up, Rob, almost every week is heavy metals.
Really?
And as you know, heavy metals in the body causes so many problems, such a heavy load on the liver. It causes Alzheimer's and contributing factor, depression, stresses your immune system, exhausts your adrenal glands. And so I'm thinking, oh my goodness, where am I getting these heavy metals? Well, that's a whole nother conversation, probably for another guest to have much more intelligently than I could. But,
I don't know
we seriously
about that.
Are bombarded with this from our environment and the water, and the fluoride and et cetera, et cetera. So we're so toxic. I think we need a type of medicine, number one, that we can kind of check in with and say, how am I doing? How am I doing? Even if it's once a month or once every 3 months, more of a preventative medicine to prevent diseases from forming. I also think our mental and emotional and spiritual quality of life as a mass people or mass population is extremely low, Rob. And I think people are hoping desperately that life has more meaning and more happiness and more joy and more peace. And, the statistics on depression and alcoholism and drug addiction, et cetera, is just through the roof, and all the, psychiatric medications. So we're hurting. We're hurting physically, we're hurting spiritually, and we're suffering mentally and emotionally. And so I believe frequency medicine just comes in and says you don't have to. Number one, we can tell you exactly what's wrong day by day, month by month, and we can treat you with this non-invasive, very, very accurate. And the more you do or participate in frequency medicine, your body really, once it detoxifies, really responds super, super quickly. I can tell you, a number of years ago, when my children were younger, they had the first signs of chicken pox. Well, immediately I put them on the frequency machine, and they never even developed chicken pox because we neutralized it and identified it, so quickly that it left the energy field and they didn't have to suffer. We also do that with poison ivy. We do that with strep throat. And people listen to me and they think, I'm listening to me, so I think I sound kind of crazy. But when you see it, it's not just hundreds, Rob. It's with thousands and thousands and thousands of situations with emotional and physical and spiritual and just crazy, crazy stuff. You see it work every time. It's kind of hard not to be a believer and not to get really excited about it.
What's the difference between a frequency and a vibration? Or are they one and the same?
They're one and the same, but I tend to think of a vibration as a broad bandwidth of frequencies, like a general frequency range. And then I tend to think, one of the reasons I, have kind of developed this frequency master thing is I've worked with frequencies so long, I'm able to really discern and work with frequencies on a very, very specific basis. So where parasites may fall within a certain range of frequency on a bandwidth, we can identify them down to very, very specific ones by their frequency. So to me, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Vibration to me has a more general feeling toward it.
The reason why I asked her that is because, I'm a guy who was raised in the 60s. And, you had the good old hippies, like good vibrations. I get good vibes from you, man. And, I think that when you look back, the hippies had the right idea, but they were way, way ahead of their time. But vibrations, that's why I was asked. That was a pretty important eureka moment when people actually thought, well, wait a minute. Am I giving off bad vibes or a bad frequency? So it seems that the awareness was started, and here we are in the year 2015, and my goodness, here's Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and she's out there pioneering. She's out there, pushing frequency healing. How does it work? When somebody goes to you for a frequency healing or a frequency test or whatever it is, how does this work?
Well, originally, of course, I wasn't where I am now, and I hadn't expanded my belief system or my experimenting to where I'm at now. But originally, and still happens, they come to me, and we put them on a biofeedback machine, and it's a process I created myself. It's not really how the machine is intended. No one taught me how to do this, but through a process I created myself, we scan the human energy field. And basically the unsaid question, what we're accomplishing is, what would you like right now in this moment to bring you to balance in the order that you'd like it, in the intensity that you'd like it? And so, we get this whole list of things, and it can be all emotional. It can be mental. It can be spiritual. It can be physical things, but we get what the body or the energy field wants. It has nothing to do with my psychic ability or lack of it. It's exactly like going on an MRI and getting a result.
So basically you're saying it's a science.
It is absolutely beyond. It's beyond a science.
Really?
And yeah, absolutely. It's a science. It's just because of our computer age and the software and our sophistication, we're able to use it like this, where before it was, again, very generalized. And the way that modern medicine uses it, which they use the exact same thing, the device I use is actually a licensed medical device. So it's just phenomenal, Rob. It really is. But how I use it now is based on the fact, just like we're talking today, that energy knows no time or distance. So I get extremely accurate, precise scans by scanning, and I don't have to, but that's a further step of belief for people, but I use their picture to scan their energy field. Although I don't have to, I can just bring that person, because I've done it so many times, as a pure channel to thought, and basically run their energy through me and test them on the machine. And I get just as accurate results as with a picture or a live person sitting in front of me.
So you can do this from anywhere around the world.
Yes, and I do.
Wow.
Every week. Yes.
How do you take care of yourself if you're this busy and you must be expelling a lot of positive energy yourself? How do you prepare yourself for your heavy workload?
That's a great question. And to be honest with you, Rob, 2 or 3 years ago when I first became kind of well known and overwhelmed by this work, I didn't. When you are running frequencies at this level, and when you vibrate at a higher frequency yourself, you burn out, literally. Your hair burns out and gets dry. This is kind of weird. It's like running electricity through you constantly, and all different levels of electricity. Your skin gets dry. You become very, kind of aged and run down. And so it really was learning to put as much in as I get out, and taking care of myself, putting myself on the machine, running the frequencies through me. Because there was a while where I just got so into the work that I neglected taking care of me. But it's really learning, again, to just replenish and unplug. And I do, and I didn't used to, I take 4 or 5 or 7 or 10 days off, and I don't do anything with frequencies, and I unplug from people and kind of regenerate. But it's just, when you get older, you get a little wiser sometimes.
Well, this explains why you have such a shocking personality. Now it's all clear. Dr. Kim, please stand by. We have to take a commercial break here at the bottom of the hour. It's great having you with us again, Dr. Kim. Exonation, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is my guest, www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com. And the good doctor and I return on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, to all our American listeners, happy 4th of July and happy Independence Day. I hope that you all have a safe and wonderful weekend. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the 2 top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com. The ability to access the knowledge of the universe is much easier for us to access than we may believe. Brad Johnson, conscious matrix communicator, is one of these unique individuals who is able to access a strong connection to the universal mind. Through his connection, Brad has assisted thousands of clients from all over the world through natural intuitive assistance. The intuitive information received is vast, covering a wide range of subjects. Brad's innate ability includes being able to access one's own universal matrix to help them realize their potential to create a life of profound greatness. One-on-one private sessions with Brad Johnson are available to anyone from around the world. Brad is also a proficiently trained psychic, Akashic Records reader, and online spiritual teacher, founder of his own unique and powerful healing system, Body Regeneration Healing, as well as a professional conscious channeler in communication with his own higher self-consciousness, known as Adronis. For more information or to book a service appointment with Brad Johnson, visit his website at www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com.
Have you exhausted all traditional means of healing without success? Are you experiencing communications through ghosts, angels, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services to humanity at this time through consultations. These consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you desire clarity of what may appear to be unexplainable phenomenon, then contact me through my website at aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance.
Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Ron McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. Before we get back to Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, our guest this hour, just like to remind everyone that the old edition of the X Chronicles newspaper, that's the June edition, is still available online with our compliments at www.rel-mar.com/X201506. That's www.rel-mar.com/X201506. And we are presently in production of the July edition, which will be coming out on the 15th of this month. Exonation, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is our very special guest this hour. Her website is www.kimberlymcgeorge.com. Kimberly, the frequency work that you do, can this also be used on children who might have ADHD or some other problems?
Oh, absolutely. We usually enter into the door. This is actually a great allergy, non-invasive allergy testing. We have a whole allergy testing programming. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we begin that journey not just with a general scan, but we also go in through the door of allergy testing and really experiment with immediately removing highly, allergenic, substances and foods that are in the home. And then from there, the beautiful thing again about the frequencies is the diagnostic is also the remedy. So we can also begin to desensitize almost immediately to those things and see rapid improvement, as well as being able to ascertain what nutritional supplements or colors or, other frequencies that we can add in. And the beautiful thing is a lot of times you have a choice. So if, for example, you would test for something like adrenal, sometimes I can just tell by how things are coming up that it would really help the body not only to have the frequency, but also to have the physical support product. So I definitely kind of mix things up. But it's beautiful for children because it's so non-invasive, and we can even use a surrogate. So if they are in my presence and they're a baby or a squirmy 2-year-old or a young child, or I've also worked with a lot of handicap and incapacitated children and adults. And,
wow.
They're very sensitive to being touched or their energy field being invaded. And so we use surrogate, a loved one or a caretaker. We can actually test that person through another person. So it's so beautiful. The more I learn about frequency and energy and what it can do, not just with physical health we've talked a lot about, but with moving energies, the energy between things and creating abundance. And we just play with a lot of different energies. You can change society, problems potentially. I've been involved in a few little pieces of experimenting with that. So really the sky's the limit. It's kind of scary, Rob.
I played a commercial during the break about soldiers with PTSD. Would energy frequency healing help these soldiers?
Absolutely. It's so funny because that attracted my attention, and I don't know if you picked up on that or what, because I really plugged into that. I thought it was a beautiful thing what that wonderful person was doing for the soldiers. I've actually created a track called Unwinding PTSD that's available to anyone for open sourcing. So if you'd like to write me or contact Rob and get a hold of that, I'm happy to give that free to anyone, and they're welcome to distribute it or put it on their website or play it or offer it. The only thing I ask is, a little acknowledgement of credit or back to my website or something. But absolutely, as a matter of fact, the first time I played that on my radio show, the track that I created, I experienced, and this is me, and I work with frequencies all the time. It was like someone placed a warm cloak around my shoulders, and it just kind of mellowed me out and smoothed out a lot of that trauma. So absolutely, frequencies are so great for emotional balancing and neutralizing those traumatic places that kind of get stuck in our field.
Now, did you say that that track is available on your website?
It is available on my website, but for your audience, if you want to set something up, we can connect through you. I'm willing, anyone that writes you, or I don't know how you want to do it. I'm willing to offer that free to them.
I will just point them to you, my dear.
Okay.
Because I want them to go to your site. I want them to see what you have. I want them to know Dr. Kimberly McGeorge.
Lucky them.
I think so. I really do. I really think that. And, we've talked about how you can help people who have so many ailments, and how even the medical professionals are coming to you instead of, big pharma and other methods that the organized, I can't even call them organized, can I? Or what do we call them? Oh, the doctors and the nurses use. However, can frequency healing also be used on your family pet?
Oh, I love that you asked that too. I used to work in the past. I've worked with racehorses that were being rehabilitated from being, let's just say, treated not so great on the racetrack. And I've worked with pets that were in shelters and things like that. We've really worked a lot with animals emotionally. But actually, one of my latest clients is actually a big old English sheepdog who's lost all movement in her back legs. And I gave her a frequency track, her owner, who gave it to her, or plays it for her. And I think she's only been doing it about 5 or 6 days. And already the dog is beginning to put weight on her back legs. And this has been like a long-standing thing, and she's an older dog. And it just gives me such joy because, again, Rob, I have my own abilities just like you do. But this isn't my own abilities. This is just the laws of the universe. And when you match the remedy with how things were created to work, of course it's going to work. And we just have never really done that or played, in that arena too much until lately.
That's true. Where do you see energy and frequency healing in the next 5 years?
I really see it, again, pushing the boundaries, which is into the areas of clearing what I call the energy between energies. So not just adjusting the energy field of the human body and the density of the human body, but actually the energies, moving energies in situations and people, clearing blocks to abundance. I always talk about, you and I have an energy. You have your own energy, Rob, and I have my own energy.
Yeah.
But if we have a friendship, there's also the energy of the relationship or the energy of the friendship. Or if you have a business, there's an energy of the business. So I really see those that are highly skilled really beginning to be able to rapidly shift the energy in between the energies, or, kind of the quantum type of energies, and affecting great, great change on the environment and on situations and people. And we are starting to play and experiment. Really, when I start talking about it, it reminds me of what we call magic, years and years ago. It's really magic.
I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice, and I love it.
Oh, it's my passion, Rob. It's my play. It's my work. It's a joy. I think I was brought here to do this and do it pretty well so far.
Do you teach courses on what you're doing? Are you mentoring anyone?
We're actually, and that's where I need my time, and we're trying to put together some systems and more staff so that I can actually write my frequency manual master. And I'm getting really, really close, probably within the next 30 to 60 days, to releasing my first practitioner level course. And I'm all about empowerment. This isn't something I want to keep for myself by any means. I don't just want to put it on you. If you can take a piece of it and take it home and use it with your family and your clients, I'm all about that.
Sure.
So we are in the process right now of going to that next level. People have been screaming for it for years, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna carve out that time. So we are going to be offering many of the tools and some different systems so people can begin, kind of playing and using this with their own pets, as you said, and children and families.
What we'd like to do is just play a little bit of your MP3 from your website, if you don't mind.
Oh, phenomenal.
Here we go.
That you were created to be one with the Creator, one with Source, one with all that is. We draw up the frequency of the body chimes infinity to the divine, to the universal frequency, out of the matrix, connected to all. We allow that frequency to integrate with the cells of the body.
And that's just a small part of this MP3, this clip. It's about 11 and nearly 12 minutes long. And it's free just by going to Dr. Kimberly McGeorge's website at KimberlyMcGeorge.com. That's a fascinating gift, and that goes to show what kind of great person you are. You're willing to share.
Well, Rob, I'll tell you, you know what? I've been in some really, really dark places, as I know you have as well.
Yep.
And when you've been in that place, you don't wish anyone to go through that pain or suffering, whether it's physical or mental or emotional, spiritual, financial, whatever area that things aren't working. I just really desire to bring light and joy and healing and expansion because I've found that in my own life. And so it's kind of like out of our abundance, I want to share that. And I'm very, very passionate about it. And just like what you do, Rob, what you do is so wonderful and so marvelous and so needed. So I know you understand that.
I do. And that's it's one of the greatest lessons anyone can learn in life is that when you give, it's such a great feeling. When you know that what you're doing is changing somebody's life in a positive way, that you're saving them from a lot of problems, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, and you're able to give them a bridge from A to Z without going through the rest of the alphabet. It's such a great feeling. What's that saying? It's better to give than to receive, and I believe that.
It is. It's a huge blessing, and my clients are wonderful, but I almost feel guilty, as you probably do, because this is truly my play, Rob. And so when someone says thank you, I'm like, no, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for allowing me, to do what I love to do.
Yeah. What makes your healing different than anyone else?
I think partly what makes me different is, and there's a lot of snake oil in every profession, lawyers and bankers and doctors and alternative health, I'll say it, and consciousness, and all of it. There's a lot of slick marketing, and there's a lot of gimmicks, and there's a lot of, say this and say that and sell this. First of all, Rob, I'm dead on real. I'm so real. We've started offering guarantees on our products. So there's a no risk because I will stand 100%, partly because it's science, but partly because I work in integrity and I've done this a long time. And so I think that makes us a little different, that we're willing to say, okay, if you're not happy, here's your money back, and stand behind what we offer. A lot of people don't do that in this type of industry. They may do it with other products. Second of all, the unique God-given gifts that I've been given add what I call the icing on the cake, kind of like with you, Rob. So you don't just get, this kind of weird science exploration type of experimental person, or someone that's very experienced in alternative medicine in a clinical setting. You also get all my psychic and intuitive abilities, my channeled connection to a lot of universal information, and my, remote viewing. You get all of that. So it's kind of like one-stop shopping. If you like alternative health, if you like the psychic world, we kind of can offer you that in one. It saves you some money. Let's say that.
So basically, you're a superstore.
Oh, I'm going to have to think about using that in our marketing. I'm going to have to give you a cut for a while.
No. It's nice to know. And you know what I found doing this show over the years? There are so many nice people out there. There are so many. Yes. And it seems to me that everyone who deals with New Age, spirituality, alternative healing, they are so nice because they want to help. They want to make a positive difference. They are not part of the problem. They are part of the solution.
It's funny because, in your commercials and when I look at the people you've had on your show, I'm glad you're saying that because a lot of those people are my friends. Yeah. I know them personally, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, I say what's on my mind one way or another. My mother said that is one of my curses in life. And I say, no, that's one of the good points I have. Because if I think you're a charlatan, I call you a charlatan. If I think you're good, if I think you're honest, if I think you're kind, you are. And if I think that you're out to con or to sell snake oil to my listeners, you don't last very long. But I think that's the way it should be. We need to take responsibility. You take responsibility for what you do. Mm-hmm. I need to take responsibility for what I do. And people have to start taking more responsibility for their actions as well, especially in these uncertain times where there are so many questions. Take back the power that they have so freely given away. And I think that this is one of the main messages that all my guests are saying, like you, instead of going to the traditional medicines, there's alternatives. Try this. I'm telling you, it works. Look. And, the proof is in the pudding.
I love what you said because that's another huge part of what I teach is I really teach that in order to find that wholeness and find that balance, it's not even just coming, to someone like me or another great practitioner. It's really looking at your own dark places and being willing to go there and do the work. There really is no shortcut, regardless of the miracles of technology. I love what you said for that personal empowerment, that I call that sovereign reality, in every area of your life, and your choice, your conscious choice of co-creation with the universe is a huge part of whether you're going to ever see that happiness and that success that you desire in this lifetime.
What programs or packages are you offering right now to the public, Dr. Kim?
Well, we're actually offering, I've been referring to a body scan, and that's usually a certain price on the website. But we're actually offering TEB, which is called Transformational Energy Balancing, and it's a mini scan that looks at a number of different things and kind of runs your energy against that and says, what would be the best color? What would be the best vitamin for you? It's just a taste at a little bit of a cheaper price. So we're offering that as a sample of our work. And then we're really excited about what's coming up at the end of July, which is Master Meridian Mapping. And that's really, Rob, starting with your core beliefs and the energy grids. Sometimes we come in our DNA with actually hardwired belief systems from our ancestors and different things. Right. We really need to get that out and out of the energetic field and out of the body templates and kind of neutralize that. So we're going to be working on that in that specific program. So those are the two things we're really, really excited about. We also have a special membership group. I like to say, well, maybe your listeners are some of them too. I'll give you that. But I like to say we have some of the most progressive, enlightened people on the planet in my groups, because they're like you, Rob. They're people that are drawn to, they're thinkers, and they're people that push the boundaries. And so we have a great membership group program too going on.
That is really fantastic. Before we go, I'd like to talk to you about your remote viewing. When did you get started in remote viewing, and how do you use it in your practice?
I love that question because I actually got started in it when I was 3 years old. So I've been doing that a long
So you've been doing it for 20 years. Okay.
Oh, not too long. Oh, actually not very long at all. That's right. Sorry. Forgot about that. You're right. But so, I guess it took me a long time to really utilize it. But, one of the I have a number of abilities regarding that. I can pull up someone's holographic template of their energy and actually look at the blockages in the body and where they are and help facilitate the removal of that. This is my abilities. This is the woo-woo part of me. And then, I've used a lot with paranormal teams, which I know resonates with a lot of people in your audience. I've been the consultant where they will call me before they go in a home and they'll say, what type of energies and entities, what rooms should we focus on, what people should we focus on. I've even played tricks on people that I've had friends with, that have been going to houses, this is so bad, that are going to capture EVPs, and they usually capture, hundreds, and they'll call me up the next day and they'll be like, what did you do? And I'll say, I might have gone ahead before you went there and cleared the house. And they're like, don't ever do that again. So, I'm a little mischievous. I'm a prankster. I like to prank people, but don't let that get out. So I've worked with a lot of paranormal teams, from really, cases where they're going, I don't mean for fun, but kind of the historical to find out what happened, for their own entertainment, to very, very serious cases of demonic possession and severe harassment with families.
How does it work with demonic possession? Because would it be like you're establishing whether or not there are the negative energies there that would equate to a demonic possession, or do you actually see the demonic possession in the person?
Both.
Wow.
So, and I don't know, I know you probably had guests that have talked about this, but a lot of possession is what I call in-out possession. So the person isn't necessarily possessed by those energies all the time. So it's really important for me to be able to go quickly there and look at the energy field, and there's certain frequency kind of mixture. You can tell. And I do timelines too, Rob. I don't know if we've talked about this.
No,
I can kind of go back and forward in time, and I can see at what points they had those entities in them. And so I can say, yes, 48 hours ago, the entity was possessing this person, and we need to deal with that.
So is this when an exorcism would take place?
And I have personally done exorcisms many times. I only obviously would do an exorcism in person.
Right.
It's not a fun activity for me. I'm a mother now, and I find, to be completely honest with you, regardless of my knowledge of energies and protection and connection, I believe, to God and protective services, let's say, it does usually bring a lot of negativity onto me and my family. I've had situations where I've almost been killed shortly after I've done exorcism. So I've really kind of stepped away from, I guess, seeking after it or advertising that as an active part of my profession. But I occasionally am still brought in to do things like that.
I don't blame you, my dear friend. Dr. Kim, as always, whenever you're with us, time goes by so fast. What are your final thoughts tonight for the X-Zone Nation?
My final thoughts, and my favorite thought, is really, change your frequency and change absolutely anything you desire to in your entire life.
And please, one more time, give our listeners your website.
Absolutely. It's KimberlyMcGeorge.com.
Dr. Kim, thank you very much. I hope to have the pleasure of talking to you again in the near future. But until that time, take care of yourself. And from everyone here in Canada and the X-Zone Nation to you and yours, a very happy 4th of July weekend.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. X-Zone Nation, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge has been our guest this hour. www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com. Well, this is the July 4th weekend, as I've been saying throughout the show. I wish each and every one of you a very safe weekend. Now, we know that the security people, law enforcement, are on high alert. But that doesn't mean that you still can't have fun, whether it's in your backyard, whether it's at your neighbor's, whether it's at the beach. We are all humans. And as Sam Mack was saying earlier tonight, why not go and see what the true side of Islam is? I can tell you from a personal experience, X-Zone Nation, my neighbor is, they're a Muslim family, and they are some of the nicest people I've known. And I'm very proud to call them my friends. So until next week, Monday night at 8 o'clock, when once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone, from everyone here to everyone out there, have a safe weekend, and always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.